What if America's biggest trade partners suddenly turn their backs? With a single stroke of the pen, Trump has reignited a trade war that could disrupt billions in global commerce. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced plans to reinstate and expand tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. The newly proposed duties, 25% on steel and an additional levy on aluminum, would build upon earlier trade restrictions. Furthermore, Trump has advocated for a reciprocal tariff system, ensuring that nations imposing higher duties on U.S. exports face equivalent tariffs in return. This aggressive stance has already drawn swift condemnation from key U.S. trading partners and allies, particularly in the European Union and Canada. The European Union and Canada, two of the United States' most significant trade partners, import a combined total exceeding $550 billion in U.S. goods annually. Any coordinated countermeasure, whether through retaliatory tariffs, regulatory barriers, or shifts in trade sourcing, could have substantial repercussions for American industries. But what if Trump's tariffs were only the beginning? His latest remarks about Canada may be even more controversial than his trade war. During a recent Fox News interview, President Trump reiterated his belief that Canada would be better off as the 51st U.S. state. He claimed, "We lose $200 billion a year with Canada, and I'm not going to let that happen." He further criticized Canada's reliance on U.S. military protection, stating, "They don't pay much for their defense. And frankly, that's not an assumption they can keep making." These remarks echoed sentiments he expressed earlier in a pre-Super Bowl interview, where he questioned Canada's economic viability without U.S. backing. Trump proposed that annexation could resolve trade imbalances and benefit both nations. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau responded swiftly, calling the comments an outrageous betrayal of long-standing U.S.-Canada ties. The Canadian public has overwhelmingly rejected the notion, with political leaders from across the spectrum condemning the suggestion as an affront to national sovereignty. In light of Trump's comments, Canadian leaders have taken decisive action to reinforce the nation's independence. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh has proposed a 100% tariff on Tesla imports, specifically targeting Elon Musk, a vocal Trump supporter. Singh declared, "We know that Donald Trump's billionaire buddy Elon Musk is a key player behind this 51st state nonsense, so let's hit him where it hurts." Additionally, Singh has advocated for increasing federal rebates on electric vehicles, proposing a $10,000 incentive for Canadian-made cars to counteract economic pressures created by U.S. tariffs. Stéphane Dion, Canada's ambassador to France, strongly rebuked Trump's assertions, stating, "If Canada isn't viable, show me a viable country." He emphasized that such rhetoric violates international norms, including the United Nations Charter, and vowed that Canada would defend its sovereignty. Industry Minister François-Philippe Champagne highlighted the crucial role Canadian steel and aluminum play in supporting U.S. industries, including defense, shipbuilding, and automotive manufacturing. "Canadian steel and aluminum are integral to the U.S. economy. We will stand firm in protecting our workers and our industries," he asserted. Catherine Cobden, president and CEO of the Canadian Steel Producers Association, warned that Trump's tariff plan could be economically catastrophic. Targeting Canadian steel and aluminum is completely unfounded and unjustified. If exemptions aren't secured, immediate retaliatory measures are necessary, she stated. "If you're in the market for a new car or home appliances, expect to pay more. These tariffs will drive up steel and aluminum costs, adding hundreds, even thousands to the price tag." Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre outlined a robust national defense strategy, including the establishment of a new Arctic military base and doubling the number of Inuit Rangers from 2,000 to 4,000 to strengthen Canada's northern security. Poilievre also proposed acquiring 2 additional polar icebreakers and reallocating $16 billion in foreign aid to bolster domestic defense spending. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen issued a firm warning that the EU would retaliate if subjected to arbitrary US trade measures. The EU sees no justification for these tariffs. We will act decisively to protect European industries, workers, and consumers, she affirmed. French President Emmanuel Macron reinforced this stance, stating, "If Trump imposes these tariffs, I will confront him just as I did in 2018. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz emphasized the EU's readiness, stating, "We can act within an hour if necessary." With tensions rising, China might find new opportunities to deepen its economic alliances with the European Union and Canada, potentially shifting global trade away from the United States. The transatlantic trade relationship is valued at over $1 trillion annually. Any escalation in tariffs could force a recalibration of U.S. trade policies, with global economic implications. Trump's revived initiative includes a 25% tariff on steel and a still undisclosed tariff on aluminum, targeting both adversarial nations and traditional allies alike. His proposed reciprocal tariff system, which seeks to match each trading partner's import duties, could further destabilize trade relations. The president has repeatedly pointed to the European Union's 10% tariff on U.S. automobile imports, calling it unfair in comparison to the 2.5% tariff the U.S. imposes on European cars. However, critics highlight the 25% tariff the U.S. already imposes on imported pickup trucks, a category that dominates the American auto market and is one of its most profitable sectors. Trump's renewed tariffs could have severe consequences for key U.S. suppliers. Canada, which supplies 79% of primary aluminum imports to the U.S., along with Brazil, Mexico, South Korea, and Vietnam, major exporters of steel and aluminum, are all left uncertain about their market access. The Biden administration's existing exemptions and quota agreements, which helped ease trade tensions, now hang in the balance. Without clarity on whether these arrangements will remain in place, businesses on both sides of the border are bracing for disruption. For American consumers, the impact could be immediate. Prices on automobiles, appliances, and even canned goods could rise sharply due to increased material costs. The construction industry, which relies heavily on steel and aluminum, may face delays and cost overruns on everything from bridges to skyscrapers. If these tariffs go into effect, the financial burden won't just fall on foreign exporters. It will hit American businesses and households directly. Trump's first term saw aggressive trade policies, including sweeping tariffs on steel and aluminum in 2018. While these moves temporarily boosted U.S. steel mill capacity utilization above 80% in 2019, the effects were short-lived. Global price pressures, particularly due to China's continued dominance in steel production, quickly erased these gains. American manufacturers relying on steel and aluminum as raw materials faced higher costs, forcing price hikes across industries. In response to these tariffs, the EU, Canada, and other allies imposed countermeasures. The EU targeted politically sensitive U.S. goods such as bourbon whiskey, motorcycles, and orange juice, items heavily produced in swing states. Canada, meanwhile, imposed retaliatory tariffs on U.S. steel, aluminum, and various consumer goods. As a result, the initial trade war triggered billions of dollars in lost exports for U.S. businesses. Under President Biden, efforts were made to stabilize relations through negotiated tariff relief. The United States reached quota-based agreements with the European Union, the United Kingdom, and Japan, effectively rolling back some of Trump's tariffs in exchange for capped import levels. This diplomatic approach helped avert further retaliatory measures, but Trump's latest proposals threaten to undo this fragile balance. With increasing volatility in United States trade policies, Canada and the European Union are actively working to solidify economic ties. The Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, which provisionally took effect in 2017, has reshaped their trade relationship, leading to a 33.7% increase in bilateral trade between 2016 and 2021. Amidst the latest United States trade threats, Canadian Trade Minister Mary Ng has accelerated discussions in Brussels, emphasizing the importance of reducing dependency on the United States market. While the United States remains Canada's largest trading partner, recent policy shifts have exposed the risks of over-reliance. In response, Canada is actively diversifying its export markets. One key advantage of CETA is the elimination of tariffs on 98% of traded goods between Canada and the EU. Since its implementation, Canadian exports to the EU have surged by nearly 46.4%. Reaching 32.5 billion CAD in 2021. European exports to Canada have also increased significantly, benefiting from streamlined customs procedures and lower trade barriers. Despite these gains, only 57% of Canadian exporters fully utilized CETA's tariff preferences in 2020, revealing gaps in awareness and accessibility. To address this, the Canadian government has expanded initiatives such as the CanExport SMEs program, which offers up to 75,000 CAD in financial support for small and medium-sized enterprises looking to establish footholds in European markets. As the world transitions towards clean energy and electric vehicles, the demand for critical minerals is skyrocketing. Canada is a key global supplier of nickel, aluminum, and uranium, all of which are vital for Europe's ambitious climate targets. To strengthen supply chain resilience, Canada and the EU established the Strategic Partnership on Raw Materials in 2021, which aims to reduce dependency on Chinese-controlled resources. This partnership aligns with Canada's $4 billion critical minerals strategy, which prioritizes sustainable mining practices and ensures Indigenous communities benefit from resource development. The EU is particularly eager to secure stable, ethical sources of these essential materials, reinforcing the long-term value of the Canada-EU alliance. Beyond traditional trade, Canada and the EU are working towards mutual recognition agreements for professional qualifications. One key development involves architectural services, enabling Canadian and European architects to work seamlessly across borders. Future agreements may expand to engineering, accounting, and legal services, fostering a freer exchange of talent. As US-Canada tensions rise, Ottawa sees further alignment with Europe as a strategic necessity. Canada's financial sector is also strengthening ties with European markets, with major Canadian banks expanding their presence in key EU cities. This diversification provides an economic buffer against US policy unpredictability. The broader geopolitical battle. Where does China fit in? The deteriorating US-Canada relationship, exacerbated by Trump's renewed tariff threats, has global ramifications. Washington's willingness to weaponize trade policy underscores the importance of Canada and Europe building alternative economic pillars. With tensions rising, China might seize this opportunity to deepen its trade ties with Canada and the EU. If Beijing can offer more stable partnerships, it could permanently shift trade patterns away from the US and towards a more multipolar economic landscape. Trump's proposed tariffs and annexation rhetoric have triggered a wave of diplomatic and economic pushback. Canada and the EU are positioning themselves to mitigate risks posed by shifting US policies. Whether these alliances can offset the consequences of US trade aggression remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the global trade landscape is changing rapidly. We're glad you're enjoying this video. Please like and subscribe. Check out another video that is now on your screen.